Welcome to our Dahlia patch. I just wanted to record some of our blooms this year. It's October the 15th and we are in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And this is our Dahlia patch. It does grow in some shade. It gets morning sun and then quite a bit of afternoon. So let's see, let's start down here at the beginning of the row and kind of run through quickly each variety, kind of our experience. All right, we'll start with one that's not looking great. This is Jasmine Pearl, the first bloom. She's a bit of an open center. Here's another one that's opening, so we'll see. The plant is struggling. I almost pulled it. It may still be one that we pull. Let's see what's next here. This one is Jowie Chantel. And this is the first one I've seen with that little fleck of color. Normally it is very consistent in its bloom. Here's another bright pop of color. This is Irish Delight, and this one has bloomed really well for us. Both of these have. Always lots of blooms on that one. Here's a nice fun one that I use a lot. I love these muted kind of fall colors. This is Iced Tea, and it has bloomed really well for me. I mean, the plant is loaded in blooms, as you can see. And then we pop up to a really big one. I don't know, this one's up there. Well, this one's a little bit sideways, see if I can get it to, come on, to turn a little bit for you. But this is JS Butterscotch. Not as many blooms and a little bit on the later side, but oh my goodness, when they come, they are so worth waiting on. Just love the color of that one. And then this little section is Just Married. So it's a fun cactus. Nice pop of color, and it's bloomed really well. And then Chalcedon, I just cut a lot of blooms off of hers. Oh, here's one that's kind of fallen over. We've had a couple of windstorms, so a lot of these plants are just, they're struggling, and I haven't been very good about tying them up as the season's just about over. Okay, so that's Chalcedon. That's a really good example of what she's been like consistently most of the summer. And then I'll show you another one that's starting to pop up more, it seems like, and this was more of her coloring in the beginning of the year, like in June when she started to bloom. So now she's kind of going dark again, which is kind of fun. Let's see, we'll come back to that one. So here is, if I can find a good bloom, this is Grandma Karen. Karen is my growing partner, and she's a grandma, so we had to have Grandma Karen. A lot of these are starting to go. They're older blooms, but that's been a really fun one. Well, let's do this one while we're here. This is Holly Hill Jester. Holly Hill Jester is one of those fun ones that each bloom's a little different. Some are more white, some are a combination, some have more solid leaves and flecks, others don't. Next to that is Holly Hill Spider Woman. She's just putting on quite a show. A little bit shorter plants. Let's see, this is Gigi Calenda. That's a little bit of an older bloom. Down here is a little bit smaller, but a little bit fresher. Let's see, what else do we have in here? Okay, this one is Hilltop Lost Treasure. And this one is definitely on its way out. It's so pretty when it starts to open up. It's just a little bit more, I don't know how to describe it when it's just opening up. It's not so loose, maybe. Here's one that I'm liking more as the season has gone on a little bit. This is Devon Eclipse. It was a darker yellow a couple weeks ago, and it was just really just in your face, bright. Now it's kind of faded out a little bit, still really bright, but it's a little more faded. I'm finding a lot of my dahlias are getting a real yellow tint to them. Here's another one that's falling over. This is Gay Princess. And Gay Princess does tend to have a little bit of a floppy nature, I find. The stems are pretty wiry. But they, you can usually figure out how to get them into arrangement, and it blooms and blooms and blooms. This is a mystery. So if you know this one, I would love to know. It is just gorgeous. It's kind of a late bloomer. These are the first 2 blooms from it. All right, and here's a real pile of prettiness. It's a mess. This, oh, that's not a very good example, but this is Snow Host Storm. And this is another one. I find the cactus ones really bloom a lot. Nice big. And it was more white a couple weeks ago. Fancy Pants back there, kind of mixed in with this. She just blooms and blooms. We don't cut any of the singles or orchid or collarettes, so they just kind of get to do their thing. We don't even deadhead them. This is Southern Belle. What else is in here? Oh, this is a fun one. This is Double Jill. And right now she looks more consistent than she has all year. There's still some definite variations in the petals, but usually it's a little bit more distinct, like that definition. But she's been really fun to watch, and she's bloomed a lot. Here is, let me think, who are you? Daydreamer. That's a little bit of an older bloom. Here's a little bit fresher. Small World. I love Small World. It has definitely gotten taller as time has gone on, but the petals, this is a newer one, so it's not so bad, but the petals tend to get a little bit of browning on them as they age. So if you don't pick them right away, they get just this little brown edge on them that just drives me bananas. But it's a nice, pretty, tall plant. If you cut deep, it'll keep doing it for you. Some celosia. This is Tutti Frutti. She's also one that just blooms and blooms. Another cactus, of course. More Southern Belle. This, I believe, is Jomanda. It's another one that the label, we didn't have the label for it. Silver Years, so pretty, just so delicate. Had a little bit of bug pressure. I haven't been using my blushes and whites very much in the fall, so I haven't been taking very good care of them, but we do put bags on to protect the whiter ones. That really helps. No real good blooms on that one. That's Sungate Folly. Oh boy, this is a beautiful one, but it's just not a very good example. I took her bag off too late and she's all squished. But this is Sterling Silver, and she, sorry, excuse my garden fingers, they're always dirt in my fingernails. But anyways, this is Sterling Silver, and she's just so soft. It's just like a cream puff, just soft and fluffy, very soft. Not a lot of blooms for Sterling Silver, and she's late. But oh my goodness, when she comes, she just has gorgeous blooms. And they're not always this big. This is a bigger one, and I disbudded, I think, to get that one. So if you don't want as big, just don't disbud. This is a more mature Peaches and Cream. Here's one that's a little bit less mature. And then we have Picasso. This one's just starting to open up. Some of them have a lot more of the variegation than others. Oh, and I guess I'm sure you can guess who this is. This is Spartacus. Spartacus is another one that I have noticed has really changed color. All right, we've kind of talked about that side, so let's see if we can get along here. Let me see. I think on the other end there's another better example of Wine-Eyed Jill. Who else is in here? This is another one that's blown over. Verquist Tranquility. Now she kind of has these centers that are often there, but they aren't so, I don't know, they blend better than some centers. Not all of them have it. Like here's one that's still in the bag. It's a little kind of getting squished, but that's, sometimes the centers are a little bit more subtle than others. Let's see, who are you? I think this might be Terracotta. Another bloom. No, I don't think you're Terracotta. I'll have to look at the label of that one. This is Terracotta over here. kind of a wonky bloom. Well, and there's a Verda that needs to be cut off. She's a big girl, a very old bloom, but nice big white if you want a big white one. Next up over here, after another Tutti Frutti, is Tahoma Kelly. And she is another one that has just bloomed and bloomed and bloomed. Her colors changed a little bit as time's gone on. She was a little more blushy, had a little more color. Like here's one with a little more color. But even more than that, I would say. It's her summer wear. And then, this is the direction of the wind blown, so they're all kind of blown over this way. This is Snow Hoe Doris. It's another one that kind of has varying, I have a couple of these plants, but here's another one that maybe is a little bit lighter. They kind of vary a little bit. And then Snow Hoe Sonia, a couple of her blooms. All right, here's a gorgeous one. Needs more staking. This is Scour Swinton, I believe, if I'm saying that right. She's very pretty. A nice big one. And consistently big with her blooms. This is more Snow Hoe Storm. I believe both of those are. Did I say that right? Snow Hoe Storm? Yes. Yeah, because this one is Skip Leaf Frost. I just love the color in that one. Got more Snow Hoe Sonias down here. More Snow Hoe Storm. Although, you know what? That one might not be Snow Hoe Storm because this is Snow Hoe Storm over here. It definitely has more of the stringiness to it, so I have to look up what that other one is. And buried in here is Suede. This is another cactus that just blooms and blooms and blooms. Most of these blooms are a little bit older. And then this is a Skipley Moonglow, kind of buried in here. It's not quite open. And this is one I've noticed that has really changed. This is 20th Avenue Memory. And she's definitely gone more yellow, but at the beginning of the season, she had more pink with a little yellow in the center, but definitely more pink. It's got lots of blooms. The other one has bloomed and bloomed and bloomed. This one is a Popa Sky, I believe. Here's one that's another mystery for us. We have Karma Amora, and I just feel like this plant is really tall for that one. So if you know the name of this one, let me know. It was labeled as American Beauty, but American Beauty is a lot bigger, I think. These are all her blooms are, you know, about that size. American Beauty seems to be like 6 inches and up. Dark foliage, dark stems. So if you know the name of that one, I'd love to know. Lots of a Popo Sky, another one we just kind of let do its thing. Here's another one of those plants. So pretty. It's just a red that doesn't really fade. Okay, and I'm not sure what this one is. It might be, I think it might be Bloomquist Jeff, which I have another plants on the other side that I know for sure is, but it just is a lot darker than it was at the beginning of the year. It was definitely more pastel at the beginning of the year. And then we're back up to Bloomquist Jean and Bloomquist Pumpkin. And then we'll flip around here for a minute. This is a more mature one, but let me see if I can find a better one. This one is Holly Hill Holly Hill Berry Purple. And it has bloomed really well for me. Another fun one that's kind of hiding in here and kind of an older bloom. But this is Hillcrest Jonathan. I think I see another one hiding down here. When they're hiding down there like that, again, this is one I need to prop up. There's one up there. They tend to have a little bit more the lighter tones, but if it's exposed to more sun, it seems like it gets a little darker. Another short one, but I can usually get decent stems. This is Cocoa Puff. I'm kind of going to go back and forth through this section, but over here we have Bracken Palomino. It's a really pretty fall one. Virginia, or Britch, Britinga or something like that. Britinga, or not sure how you pronounce that, but that's a really fun one. Here's another one of my favorite just landscape collarettes. This is called Barren Windy. And she's the prettiest little thing. Even just when the wind's blowing a little bit and the sun catches her petals, she's just so pretty. I want to grow this one next to my house next year. I like to do that. And they look really pretty in mass planted, so like 5 plants or even 3. It's a really pretty way to do it. Here's one that has bloomed and bloomed and bloomed, and I can't keep up with it. This is Brookside Snowball. Now the stems are a little bit shorter, but again, it's such a vigorous plant that if you cut deep, it really doesn't hurt it, and it comes back really quickly. Okay, and it comes back with longer stems. We looked at Just Married. Here's a pretty one that I really am enjoying. It's Irish Ruffles. It's about the average size. Here's another one that's a little bit smaller. This is another one that is definitely darkened a bit in the center with lighter in the summer. All right, back over here is a better example of Wine-Eyed Jill. This is another one that has really changed. Sometimes her centers are a little bit more winey, I guess is where she gets her name. But I've really enjoyed this one. This is another one that blooms. I mean, there's just lots of buds on it all the time. Cornell, the classic. There's a better Cornell, more open. Some good red. This is one that is just gorgeous to look at for sure. This is Cream de Casa. I just love the undersides of the leaves. It's so pretty. I believe it's a water lily, so it doesn't hold really well, but it's a really pretty one to have in your garden. This one, it was ID'd as Camera, and this one's kind of fallen off, but it kind of opens up with this wildness. This is about half the size of what most of them have been, with some orange and yellows in the middle, but I don't know what it is. This is Creamy. She's another one that we have a couple plants, and she's just bloomed and bloomed and bloomed. Darker than she was a couple weeks ago. Definitely more intense than the yellow tones. Let's see. Oh, we gotta look at Irish Deep Porter. Now these are definitely some smaller blooms than what she's had. She definitely has gotten darker in her center too. She was much lighter at the beginning of the season. Her stems can be a little wiry, but you know what? It's okay. I don't mind it. I like to use it to kind of float above an arrangement, or even like 3 of them dangling off the side looks really pretty, like as a little mini cluster. So I've used that one a lot. It goes with about everything. All right, so we looked at Creamy. Here's Chewy. Let's see if we can find a Chewy. There's one that's almost open. A little wonky, but almost open. That's a fun one. This is Center Court, and I'm not sure if I have very good stock of this one, because I think I've had 4 blooms and they've all had open centers. So that one probably is not going to stay. Keep hoping it's going to turn around, but it doesn't. This one is a super fun one, and this is starting to age, so the center is starting to show a little more, but this is Cafe au Lait Mini. Another one that has definitely gotten darker in the last couple weeks. It's, you know, I don't know if it's definitely not half the size of the traditional Cafe au Lait, but it's just a more workable size, I find, and it blooms more. But the plant, I mean, it's just gorgeous. Like, look at these leaves. They're just lush. It's strong. Like, I need to stake it more. Like, everybody else has fallen over in the last couple windstorms, and it's still standing strong and tall and proud. So I can't say enough good things about that plant. Like, it's just covered in blooms. For a cafe, I feel like it's doing really well. All right, starting to get dark here, so we'll keep moving along. So this is probably the one that wins the prize for the most blooms. This is one plant. Anybody guess what it is? Valley porcupine. I don't know, there's gotta be more than a dozen blooms on here, and I cut a bunch earlier in the week, and there's still tons, and look at all the buds that are just popping. It's another one that sometimes it has more of a lighter overall appearance, and sometimes that center is a little bit darker, and it's just, if you really zoom in close, the delicateness of that is just so fun. But that's Valley porcupine. Another good one that transitions to all different kinds of things. Coralie is not blooming right now. Colwood Hope. This is a smaller bloom than what she's had most of the summer, but another one that has bloomed and bloomed and bloomed and bloomed. Colwood Hope. I believe this is Cameo. Another just really pretty soft one. All right. This is either Chimican Katie or Cameo Love. I can't remember. Just a nice ball. Pretty color. Here's another one that I'm just loving this year. I didn't know I would love it so much, and I can't believe how well it's holding for some. I can't get a hold of it. It's kind of hidden back here. There we go. With these delicate petals, it is holding really, really well. It lasts as good as a lot of the informal decoratives, I'd say. This is Cutie Patootie. But I like to use her kind of like I was talking about Irish Dew Porter, just as somebody to float above. Her stems are fairly strong, but I just find she tucks in really nicely, just floats in. Even her little buds, when they're just starting to open, I like to cut them just to mix in for some other texture. All right, so we're on the other side where the wind is blowing. Baron Katie. I don't know if I have any good blooms to show you, but she's bloomed really well for me. Another fun fall one. Almost one past its prime. All right, now this is my favorite palm this year. This is Bowen. It is just bloomed early, lots of blooms. Kind of, if any color would be in there, I'd say yellows in the early part of the summer, but it's definitely white, more white than it is now. Okay, here's another one that has just been one of my favorites and has changed a lot. This is Bloomquist Cream. The center is definitely much darker now than it was a couple weeks ago. And this is probably on the smaller side of a bloom. This one's probably a bit more average. That one's a little bit more mature. Doesn't ever have an open center until it goes. Let's see, let's move over here a little bit. This is very similar to Tutti Frutti, but this is Smooches. It's just a little bit smaller, a little bit lighter in the tips, and another one that just blooms its head off. If you just want something around that's going to give you lots of blooms, Tutti Frutti's your girl. Or, sorry, Tutti Frutti's good too, but Smooches. I'm just looking for a bloom in here that's kind of hidden. Where are you, Porcelain? I found it earlier today. Oh, here we go. It's falling over. Like I said, my plants are just having a rough time. Okay, sorry, I'm making you guys sick. This is Porcelain. This is very flat, like my pancake. There's some more Bloomquist Jeff that are having a little rest down here on the ground. Okay, so let's move through here. Here's another wild one, Wildcat, appropriately named. And it's funny, this one isn't one of my favorites, but so many people comment on this one. And it does look really nice in fall arrangements. Doesn't last real long, but I use it sometimes. More Double Jill. And then the famous Marn. You gotta have Marn in your garden. You just don't have a Dahlia garden unless you have Marn. Or Sylvia, sometimes she's known as. Just a workhorse, and she looks so pretty with sunflowers and fall arrangements. She's all over the place. All right, look way up, and you will see Cheval Megan. I forgot to top this plant early on, so she's a little taller for that reason, but also the shade. But she is just the most gorgeous red ball, and larger for a ball. And then there's another Bloomquist pumpkin up there too. And she's another one I forgot to top. All right, I think we've looked at everything in here. Oh, this one, we gotta look at this one. This is AC Firefly. I love this one. I'm not a big fan of variegated, but if it has the fall colors, I'm all about it. I'm on the hunt for Holly Hill Wicked Witch. You have to check that one out if you love that variegated look. Nothing blooming here, but this one is another gorgeous one. And this is a smaller bloom. She's been pretty consistent with her color. This is Alyssa Obina. Another fun wild one. If you like the wild ones, this one is just so pretty. And I mean, look at all these blooms. I can't keep up. This is Anne Marie. I just saw a couple days ago it listed as AC Anne Marie, so I need to do some research to see if that's the full name. But it's Anne Marie something, somehow. Another one, if you're looking for a fun pop of color in your garden, is Clearview Genie, Gene. These are a little bit smaller than some of them, but it has bloomed and bloomed and bloomed. Let's see if I can find any of these. I gotta remember the name. Oh, that's not a very good example. She's definitely got more wiry stems. Oh my. I want to say it starts with a W, and I can't remember what it is. But anyway, she's kind of a pretty soft one. This is supposed to be Sylvia, but she's got open centers, so I don't know what happened with that one. I still use it, but I probably won't keep it next year. More Marns. Here's Robin Hood. I absolutely love the color of Robin Hood, but I don't know if it's because it's on the back of this garden or what. Here's another one over here, but it just doesn't give me very many blooms. I'll probably keep it just because I love it, but I wish it would bloom more. I'll give it another try next year. This is a pretty one. Rayanne's Alexandria, I believe. Another one that is just always covered in blooms. It's really pretty. Okay, another, I think we saw that one on either side. That's a Skippery Frost. Let's see, Snowbound. Let's see if she's open enough to look at today. Almost. She's not quite there. This is her first blooms. She's a late bloomer, but I'm excited to see what she looks like. Oh, we gotta look at this one. This is Normandy Wild Willie. Another one that is just loaded with blooms. They've gotten definitely darker. So there's some older ones that have a lot of the lighter flecks in them. So as the season's coming to a close, they're getting darker. Some more stuff that's fallen all over the place. Okay, so you know what? I don't think I have any M&M buttercreams right now, but this is a fun one. This is David Howard. It's just beautiful. Here's one that's kind of on its way out. I'll show you some. We have another garden and I've got a lot more of these. This is My Forever, but I'll probably do a part 2 video for that one. LeBaron. Probably an average size for that one. All right, here's another one that's falling over. This is Narrows Pam. She is another one that is really up there with Valley Porcupine. Even though it's a big ball, she produces and produces and produces. There's a pretty one back here if you like the Orchid kind. Marie Schwoof or something like that. I've got better ones of these on the other side, but this is Mingus Tony, I believe. These are a little bit smaller than some of them, so they're variegated. Valley Tawny starting to open, but not really very open yet. There's another one not quite open. Sweet Suzanne on her way out, so she's not even really looking very good as an example. We looked at that one, Bloomquist. Let's see who else. There's another Porcelain. Oh, and here's a gorgeous one. The color just doesn't come through on video or on pictures, but this is Manor Jane. And she is the darkest of burgundy blacks. Just really pretty. And she actually puts out quite a few blooms. She is infamous for her tuber storage. She's not very good at storing for the winter, but she's really pretty. This is RJR, and this is one I've got to do some work on. And that's why there's so many old blooms in here. Let's see if I can find a fresh one. They don't have open centers when they first come out, but that is definitely, as soon as they start to age, they get open centers. It doesn't look like I have a fresh one on this side, unfortunately, to show you. Here's one, but I don't think it's very open. Here's a pretty white ball, though, that I've really enjoyed. This is White Nettie, and she holds her centers much longer than RJR. And when the season started, she was pretty short, but I've been cutting deep, and she's definitely given me long stems. So you just got to be patient with her. Here's one I have in the other garden. I have a lot prettier blooms. I've cut most of these, but this is a very tiny version of Irish Pinwheel. And usually she has a lot different varying colors in her petals. The backs are often darker. So I think I showed you Normandy Wild Willie. One over here I've got to show you. This is Orange Globe. This is definitely a much more mature bloom. I left it on to show you how big it can get. But this is probably more average, but there are a few that are that size too if you just bud and are good with it that way. But look at that color. Isn't that just so pretty? Here's kind of a sideways one. They're usually more forward facing, but occasionally you'll get a little bit of a sideways. And I think that might be all I have to show you that's blooming right now. We have about 200 varieties, but that's some fun ones for now. So thanks for going on a little walk with me through our garden.